Good afternoon, financial professionals. My name is Jennifer Nadeau, case design specialist here at E4 Insurance Services, welcoming you to The Brew, building relationships every week. For those of you tuning into The Brew for the first time today, welcome. We like to start off the Brewcast by celebrating what today's National Day is. And today is National Farmers Day. It's also National Savings Day, which is very fitting for the topic that we're going to be discussing today. It's National Emergency Nurses Day. And it's also National Gumbo Day, along with National Take Your Parents to Lunch Day. So I'm going to have to tell my kids that they're not going to take me out to lunch. They're going to take me out to dinner tonight. So we'll see how that goes. On today's Brew, we welcome Brent DeGroot, Regional Sales Director with OneAmerica, where he will be talking to us about qualified funds in long-term care planning. Feel free to use the chat box to share your thoughts or ask questions as we go through the Brewcast today. And I would also like to remind everyone that all attendees are going to be entered in a drawing, and we will announce the winner at the end of the call. Brent, good afternoon. Thanks for being on with us today.
Well, hello, Jennifer, and hello, everybody who's joined us as well. Certainly, thank you for coming out today.
Excellent. So let's first start by talking about qualified funds. We all know that people put their savings right into qualified funds. And I believe there's a statistic that you share as well about how big that market is, and feel free to share that with us if you'd like. But how is qualified funding, or how are you talking about qualified funds when it comes to long-term care planning?
Yeah, great question. You know, it is amazing to me how big the qualified fund market is. $8.8 trillion in defined contribution plans. So nearly $9 trillion. That is just an astronomical number. So if Americans are saving there for their retirement, but don't have a long-term care plan in place, that is potentially the largest outlay of that retirement plan or their savings that they're going to have in terms of expenditures should they need any long-term care services. So knowing that we've got such a vast market to help fund a solution, really, OneAmerica has a very unique solution. It's a one and done, simple solution to use qualified funds to put a long-term care plan in place to really protect the rest of that whole portfolio. And it really makes a lot of sense to consumers when they understand the concept of an asset-based LTC solution. And then on top of that, being able to use some of those qualified funds that they've been saving to put that long-term care plan in place.
Okay, so you just gave a little, I think, sneak peek into what exactly OneAmerica offers with asset care, which is what you offer in the marketplace. Before we go any further, I think it would probably be good if you just talk to us a little bit about what asset care is in the long-term care marketplace and really what makes it unique, because it is unique. We all know there's a ton of different plans out there. There's traditional long-term care, there's hybrid, there's life insurance with riders. So let's talk about asset care and what makes it different in the marketplace.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jennifer, for that question. So OneAmerica is an asset-based long-term care solution. Asset care is our life-based chassis, if you will, for putting a long-term care solution into place, meaning that we use a life insurance plan as a base policy, if you will, that clients will actually access if they need any long-term care services. We also have what's called a continuation of benefits rider. And what is unique to us in this market space is the fact that ours is for, or can be up to a lifetime or unlimited amount. So you put this base life insurance policy in place. That is what the clients would tap into first if they ever needed any long-term care services. Then if that base policy is exhausted, the COB rider would kick in and continue that same income stream that was positioned for any of those long-term care expenditures.
And Brent,
So it
that
really
COB
helps.
is the long-term care benefits, right? I just want to clear that up in anybody's minds. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the continuation of benefits really is that long-term care portion. As a matter of fact, it is actually filed or recognized by the IRS as 7702B. So that classification will make that portion of the premium actually tax deductible. Now, we don't have time to get into that today, but certainly is something that we can follow up with another brew, or any of those folks that are joining us today, if they have questions on that, certainly reach out to your E4 partner.
Excellent. So yes, that I just jotted that down too. That definitely is a point with the way that rider is considered with the IRS code, that it can be tax deductible. I know that you talk a lot about changes to the Secure Act if we go back to qualified funding again, and why it's a great time, or with the changes in the economy, is a good time to talk about this, to be prepared using qualified funds to fund or pay for a plan like this.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to pull up just a couple slides here to kind of walk through a quick solution, if you will, using qualified funds. And I'm going to touch on the Secure Act kind of as a wrap up here.
Okay.
Is that possible for me to do?
Absolutely. Go right ahead. While you're doing that, I'll just talk a little bit about asset care too, just to remind everyone that it is a LTC solution that's on a life insurance chassis, right? That has a death benefit. It has LTC benefits. It also has a cash benefit as well. I want to say return of premium, but is that the correct term to use, Brent, for asset care?
Cash benefit.
Okay.
Yep, cash benefit is correct.
Okay, so it has flexibility within the coverage. It's not a matter of if you will use it. It's a matter of when you will use it and for what. So just wanted to give our audience a little background there on asset care, but I see you have your slide up, so go right ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jennifer. And that's very true. One of the biggest reasons for the advent of these asset-based solutions is the fact that we get rid of that use it or lose it scenario. So you'll see at the end of this kind of slide here that I'll be talking about a base and rider solution. So using our asset care as a base policy, that life chassis, and then that COB rider. But really what's different here is we've got a very simple one and done solution using qualified funds. Most advisors, and I would say nearly all consumers, have no idea that you can use qualified funds to put a long-term care plan in place. And so I wanted to kind of just walk through a quick scenario. I've got a hypothetical example here of a male and female age 60. And we're going to call this the female's IRA. So she has a current IRA of $200,000. Doesn't, it could be a 401k, 403b, any qualified fund source. But what we're going to be using for this example is her IRA currently at $200,000. What happens is when we're using these funds to fund that long-term care solution, we take a direct trustee to trustee transfer. So direct from the custodian that has this current IRA comes directly to OneAmerica, and we put it into a qualified annuity at OneAmerica. The nice thing about this solution as well is we're going to give it a bonus right off the top, 20%. So now, instead of just $200,000 to fund this solution, we have $240,000. Pretty straightforward there. Now what we do is we take that full $240,000, break it into 10 equal parts to fund our base and rider solution. So breaking that down into 10 equal parts would be $24,000 to fund the 10-pay base and rider solution. I want to just quickly point this out, though. That is a distribution from a qualified source to a non-qualified source. So when it comes down here to fund this base policy plus the rider, that distribution is taxable. So the clients will get a LTC 1099 for that $24,000 in those 10 years. I've got some further comments on that here in just a minute, but I just wanted to continue along this example, if you will. I liken this somewhat to an hourglass, is kind of why we put that up there, but I wanted to show you exactly what this got this client situation as well. So again, remember that we used $200,000 in a current annuity. We gave it that 20% bonus. We split it into those 10 equal parts. We leveraged that $200,000 up in terms of the face amount or the death benefit to almost $240,000 there. Now we use that to fund the 10-pay base and rider solution. So what would this solution buy these particular clients? $71.85 in terms of a monthly benefit per person. Or if we look at that as an annual benefit, over $86,000 per person on an annual benefit basis. So it is a really good solution, again, using qualified funds to put a long-term care plan in place. That 20% bonus, people like to hear that they're getting a bonus right off the top. So that is something that I like to point out as well. I mentioned that distribution. So that distribution is taxable. However, a couple thoughts around that. If clients are, say, older than age 60 or once they reach the age of majority, and many of you may have clients that don't need their RMDs for income. Mm-hmm. They're being forced to take them, but they really don't need it for income. Putting this solution in play, and once they reach age 72 and are being forced to start taking those RMDs, that $24,000 then can be used in that calculation. So it, again, is a really good way, really enticing way for many of those clients out there that really don't need that RMD for income purposes.
Excellent.
One of the things, Jennifer, that you mentioned earlier as well is the Secure Act. And one thing that I will mention with this solution also is the fact that the Secure Act says non-spousal inherited IRAs must now be drained in 10 years. That being the case, what happens here is we could use this exact solution for any inherited IRAs, non-spousal, and fit into this solution. So even those that are younger than, say, 59 and a half, because the Secure Act rules are in place and they must be drained in 10 years, the IRS has said no 10% penalty for that. So again, another reason really to look at this solution when planning for long-term care purposes with your clients.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And thank you for walking us through that example as well. So a couple of items that I jotted down before we open it up for questions, but inherited IRAs, RMDs that people don't need to use for income. What a great way to leverage and also protect for long-term care, which we all know is a very talked about subject. Not enough though right now, and people definitely need to be planning, especially with the baby boomer generation at the age that they're at, and the majority or almost the majority not working. So this is very pertinent and very good. Thank you so much, Brent, for going through that. Any closing comments before we open it up for questions?
Yeah, and just to get back to your point of where asset care or asset-based solutions really kind of differ, you know, what people like about these types of solutions is the fact that you get rid of that use it or lose it situation. I worked in the traditional market for 17 years, 17 of my 20 years in long-term care. Mm-hmm. So that was something that I ran into day in and day out. these types of solutions were created largely for that purpose, so that if the clients understand the concept, largely, and I'm going to say this loosely, largely it doesn't matter what it costs, right? Because they understand that they're going to use their asset first if they need care. However, if they don't need care, they pass that death benefit or the remainder of that death benefit on to their named beneficiaries, likely their children, or it could be a charity, or whatever beneficiary they want to designate. They pass that on as a tax-free death benefit. So this is a great way to protect the portfolio of an overall, also to allow a legacy to be left if they never need it, but also having that long-term care income need or supply if needed. So really like these types of solutions.
Absolutely. Leverage and protection, right? All right. Well, I'd like to remind everyone to ask any questions that you'd like to in the chat box. And while we are gathering questions or giving people an opportunity to ask questions, I'd like to remind everyone that this Brewcast, as well as our full library, is available for viewing on our website at www.e4.insurance. And let's also do our drawing now. Brent, if you could please choose a number between 1 and 25.
Let's go my lucky number 9.
Lucky number 9. Oh, that is Angela Ogilvy. Angela, I hope I said that right. Congratulations, Angela. Be on the lookout in your inbox for a Starbucks gift card and also a CE voucher coming to you from all of us at E4 Insurance Services. Congratulations, Angela. So I am going to,
wonderful.
I'm going to scan through the chat box here and see if there are any questions. You can also unmute your line if you would like to ask a question. And I am not seeing any. So again, Brent, we really thank you for joining us today on the Brew and sharing the information that you did.
Well, and I thank you and E4 for having me on the Brew this week, and certainly all of those who attended today. I really appreciate your time and attention.
Excellent. Thank you. Tune in next Wednesday as E4 Insurance Services' very own Steve Walker, Vice President of Institutional Accounts, addresses the questions of what risks should businesses be thinking about when it comes to their key employees. Steve will share with us some possible risks of business transfer to protect the company and also protect the business from a financial loss if a key employee were to become disabled or pass away. So lots to talk about next week with Steve. We look forward to having him. Thank you again, Brent. Congratulations, Angela. And we will see all of you next Wednesday on The Brew. Have a great week, everyone.